By the way, we have to talk about. There's a lot of stories popping up right now, Pat. And,
really? Like what?
I may or may not be the target of them. This is a little bit disconcerting as you're sitting here doing a radio program, and I mean, this is my own doing, of course. But
you wrote a blog.
I
right?
wrote a blog today, and I was trashing the Weekly Standard a little bit, as we mentioned at the end of the show.
Good.
Now, Politico and TV Newser and many others are picking up on this story, but it is indisputable. It is. I like the Weekly Standard. I will read their blog. I do read their blog sometimes. Occasionally, I'll check in with them because they have good stuff. I've always thought of them as a somewhat reputable publication, and until the other day, I really had no reason to believe they weren't. But look, you can take shots at Glenn all you want. I take shots at Glenn all the time on the air. Pat takes shots at Glenn. We make fun of him all the time. There are legitimate things. You can come after him, and you can, criticize him for whatever you want. If you have a different philosophical lean, that's totally cool. Take all the shots you want. But the pathetic laziness of this cover story that they dumped into this magazine, I mean, I literally cannot believe it's coming from the Weekly Standard. It's so poorly researched, and it is such a collection of, Media Matters classics and just nonsensical sort of like, oh, well, I think he's a crazy conspiracy theorist, and here's my evidence, which is none. And they go through it's such a bad case. And the example that I pointed out, one of many in the blog, is they take a joke passage from Arguing with Idiots. Actually, I don't know what page it's on here.
I think we've talked about this before.
Because they're not the only one.
Yeah.
This is why I think it's partially laziness, because other people have tried to do the same thing. But it's such a bad argument. Can you find this in here, Keith? It's in the President's chapter. The President's chapter of the book. But it's a top...
Where you outline the worst people in the world or whatever?
It's essentially that, really. And it's a top 10 bastards of all time. And in there... are people like, as you'd expect in a Glenn book, Woodrow Wilson is number 1, and Adolf Hitler's number 6. The point is to exaggerate that Glenn really hates Woodrow Wilson. We got it. But there are also entries in there that are jokes. I mean, and they're all, it's a joke piece. Look at it. It's just on the side here in this little, if you can see this, it's right here, right there on that side. That's the jokiness of it. I mean, it's just a little side panel in the middle of a chapter about presidents. So it goes in there, and, number 10 is Pol Pot. Number 9, Robert Mugabe. Number 8, Teddy Roosevelt. Now, does anybody think that Glenn thinks that Teddy Roosevelt is worse than Pol Pot or Robert Mugabe? These guys are mass murderers. Number, let's see, where is he? Number, I don't even see, what's that, 7, 6, I don't even see Stalin on here. They said Stalin, but in the article, and I took their word for it, but I don't even see him
that's
there.
even inaccurate.
That seems to be inaccurate as well. I should add that to the blog. But anyway, so Stalin, my point is, does anyone really think that Glenn thinks Stalin and, Theodore Roosevelt are equals? The guy killed, tens of millions of people.
Yeah.
Obviously, it's just a joke. And, of course, they edit out the fact that the number 2 guy on the entire list is Tiger Woods. Now, Tiger Woods, before the scandal, when everyone thought he was perfect.
And that was because he had
there's a
supermodel wife.
You don't need to guess, because it's written right here.
Yeah.
It says he's got a Swedish supermodel wife, $1 gazillion, and he plays golf for a living. Bastard. That's the analysis. And they make that out. You say, listen to this is how he explains it. He goes through that list, excluding the Tiger Woods one, and says... This is nonsense. Whatever you think of Theodore Roosevelt, he was not Lenin. Woodrow Wilson was not Stalin. Now, anybody who is trying to be honest obviously knows that this is a joke passage. Glenn is not really comparing Tiger Woods to Adolf Hitler. It is absolutely intentional to try to take Glenn out of context and to try to attack him for whatever ridiculous agenda these people have against Glenn. I don't know what it is.
What is that
agenda?
I have
no idea.
I mean,
but it's out of nowhere. I've never seen anything before that they've attacked us on. But it's so lazy and so poor.
Are they getting? Is it jealousy? Is it just sheer like it is with some of these other talk show hosts that can't seem to handle his success? Can't stand the fact that they're not on Fox News on television.
Yep.
Is it because they don't have the same gravitas, as Glenn does? Are people not talking about Bill Kristol enough? Are people not? Does he not have the weight to drive Road to Serfdom to #1, the best-selling book that's 66 years old or whatever it is?
Yeah.
I mean, is that what it is? Are they pissed off at the influence he has?
I got to be honest.
Get over it. If that's what it is,
I don't know. I don't know what it is.
Jeez. And how many things? How many things would we disagree with them on? Not very many. Not very many.
And also, like, you know what? Like, look, there's people that come from, like, maybe a more traditional Republican sort of view that don't like Glenn's sort of libertarian leanings. That is perfectly fine to criticize. But this is an awful attempt at just vilifying,
discrediting,
throwing out theories that have been discredited over and over again. I really don't get it. It's something that it is a piece, as I wrote in the blog. It is a piece that Media Matters would be ashamed to print. Well, maybe not. They're really bad, but I mean, it's that level. It's that level of.
It sounds like a reprint of Media Matters.
Yeah. Really bad. It's a perplexing one. It's a perplexing one because you know what? There's people who like National Review is another kind of, I guess, would be in this sort of category. I read their blog occasionally as well. They've got a bunch of them. People like Jonah Goldberg right there. And sometimes there's disagreement. I've seen Jonah defend us there because other people there don't like Glenn as much as others, and that's totally fine when you're coming at it from a perspective of like, look, I don't like this perspective. I don't like how he handles this. I don't like that he's so. Some people don't like that he's theatrical. That he makes He's joking all the time in there. There's a lot of things that people may or may not agree with it, but this is pathetic. This is an intern at Media Matters scanning their own website and pressing copy and paste. Awful work by the Weekly Standard. I don't know. I mean, this is the sort of thing that should get somebody fired.
It's the kind of thing Democrats do. I mean, have you heard the latest ad from the DNC where they take Joe Biden and use his words to say, "Oh, this is how Republicans are going to govern."
No, I'm not. Do you have that?
What do you mean? They're going to govern by apologizing to BP? What they're trying to do is spin it into, oh, Republican, look out for them. They're scary. They're going to get in bed with big oil. And you are going to have unbelievable natural catastrophes like you can't believe, and unnatural catastrophes because they hate the environment. So, yeah. So here's the DNC's ad. And listen to the one word taken out of context. There's a whole bunch of different. They've got Joe Biden and his little apology, but then they take a bunch of other people and use, in some cases, I think, just one word.
Okay.
One.
But I apologize.
The Republican Party standing up for big oil and apologizing to BP. What do they say about holding BP accountable?
I think that sounds really un-American.
That we shouldn't be so hard on BP.
President Obama stopped demonizing BP.
Absolutely.
And Republicans call BP's escrow fund
a shakedown
and
extortion.
So I apologize.
It's all one word.
Apologizing to big oil. This is how Republicans would govern. The Democratic National Committee is responsible for the content of this advertising.
Solid work. I will say more.
Solid work.
I will say more accurate than the Weekly Standard article. I will say that because at least those people said those.
At least they said absolutely.
It wasn't like he used absolutely in a joke. At least it was a serious sentence.
Yes,
so we have to give the Democratic Party more credit than the Weekly Standard. Yeah. But outside of that, obviously a poor effort.
I mean, anytime we say anything, they take it out of context. Yeah. No. Using the word absolutely in a commercial is taken out of context.
I would like to know if they're going to be a response ad saying, how would the Democrats govern? And then you show picture, voice of Obama saying,
That's just how white folks will do you.
No.
That's how he'll govern.
No. That's just how white folks will do you.
That's Barack Obama.
Oh, that wasn't what I was saying.
That's how he will govern. Barack Obama wants to kill white people.
Boy, you don't get any ideas. I have 2 words for you. Predator drones.
That's right. He wants to kill white boys with Predator drones.
No, what I'm saying is that have the video of Barack Obama saying the man who's going to be handling this is a Nobel Prize winner, Stephen Chu, and then play the audio of Stephen Chu way way back in 2007.
But that's ancient history.
Ancient history.
I mean, that is so far back. I don't even know how you remembered it was
because
that
Pat,
far.
if you let the Democrats govern, if the Republicans govern, Pat, then they may cozy up to the big oil companies,
and you don't want that.
You don't want that.
Democrats would never cozy up.
There's been a lot of excitement that's been growing over the last several years,
Stephen
and now
Chu.
with partnering with BP, we will have the resources to actually carry out some of the things we want to do in order to help save the world.
Saving the world.
Nobel Prize winning physicist Stephen Chu has cozied up to BP to say they're going to save the world. They've got a funny way of showing it.
I like that.
Yeah.
This advertisement is brought to you by the Green Party.
Come on.
Yeah, I like that.
888-727-BECK.
This is the fourth hour.